I'm very glad to be here, and I'm very grateful to all the organizers of Baltic Forum and to Mr. Yanis Urbanovic, who has invited us, and I'm also very grateful to all our Latvian colleagues for organizing this event, for this opportunity to talk openly on very complicated issues which are concerning all of us. I'm for the first time here since 2011 when I used to be member of Track 2 effort aimed to resolve ballistic missile defense issue in Russian-American relations. I know that Mrs. Tauscher with her partner Sergei Rybkov were doing this on official level and also made a lot of attempts to resolve this issue. And I was a member of Trubnikov-Hadley working group led by Steve Hadley and Vyacheslav Trubnikov, who have elaborated a plan and some ideas how we can build, a compromise on ballistic missile defense between Russia and the United States, Russia and NATO. In that times, it was not long ago, but everybody were full of optimism, and all of us, I remember what my American colleagues felt, and that's in this time, and my Russian colleagues and friends. We were full of positive expectations about future of Russian-American relations. It was period of reset. We were very optimistic about dialogue between Russia and NATO and development of this cooperation between Russia and NATO. Everything has changed. We have passed through the bifurcation point, which was the Ukrainian crisis, and the trajectory now is very different. The question is, to which extent we will go through this trajectory, or when and how it will look like we will meet the new bifurcation point, which can give us an opportunity to go on another trajectory, which can be more or less positive, or negative trajectory. As Tom Graham, who is not here, but who is also a very good friend and partner of MMO, always says, I'm optimist, so I do not believe in anything good. So I think that at MMO we are doing a lot of forecasting, and not long ago we have issued, as Dr. Dinkin said, we have issued a comprehensive strategic global forecast with our partners from the Atlantic Council, from Strategic Foresight Initiative of the Atlantic Council. And later we have issued our own forecast, which is called The World in 2035. And in this forecast, we have analyzed several scenarios of development of international security system. And we have paid special attention to relations between Russia and NATO, Russia and the West. And I think that if we will, there are a lot of ifs, of course. In all forecasting, there are a lot of ifs, there are a lot of elements. But I want to continue the line which Dr. Alexey Arbatov has marked in his presentation. We are standing in some sort of a turning point from which we can choose different ways. It is such a point for strategic arms control issues, because in 2021 the treaty is ending. It is a turning point for INF treaty and future of INF regime, because both sides are accusing each other in violations of the INF treaty. The United States are accusing Russia in cruise missiles, which are banned by this treaty, or medium and small and short-range cruise missiles. Russia is accusing the United States for the opportunity and possibility to use the launching system of ballistic missile defense system being placed in Europe for launching not only counter-missiles but also missiles which can be used for the surface. And it's a very complicated issue. At the same time, not only strategic arms control issues, but also issues of conventional arms are very far from not even being resolved, but even being discussed on the level which they should be discussed. And the issue of ballistic missile defense is also on the table. So if Trump's administration will follow the line of making the defense budget bigger, it should, and hopefully it will not, but it should rely on big programs which can be helpful and significant, not in terms of military technology and not in terms of investments into the military technology and developments of these systems, but also should be significant in terms of political issues. And ballistic missile defense could be one of such issues. And for Russia, the ballistic missile defense, NATO, so-called NATO ballistic missile defense, but everybody knows that it's American ballistic missile defense in Europe, is perceived as an attempt to build a new border, a military political border between Russia and EU, because it's impossible to protect NATO countries and not to protect EU countries, which are not NATO members, but technically it's impossible if you're building such system. And it is perceived in Russia as an attempt to influence not only on Russia-NATO relations and to separate Russia from this system and from European security space, but also an attempt to influence on political economic relations between Russia and European NATO members, Russia and EU. And I think that all these issues will come to the table and will be part of the agenda of our relations very soon again. And it depends to which extent both sides will be ready to have dialogue on these issues and to which extent we will be ready to find compromises on these issues. But all this is happening not in the bipolar world. It is not happening in the world of Cold War. The world is different. The world is becoming more complicated, more polycentric, with other major players. And for example, military budget of China is now about 4 times bigger than Russian. It's about 200 billions of dollars, and Russian is about 60. So approximately, it's about 4 times. A little bit less. But the speed of growth of Chinese military spendings are showing the further trends of development of situation in Asia-Pacific and attitudes towards other countries which China can show not only through its economic influence but through its growing military political power. But the world is complicated in other meanings too, because it is becoming more interdependent, more complicated in terms of trade and investments, and it is becoming more and more globalized. So I think that what we do not have right now, we do not have privilege to behave like we used to behave during the Cold War, because the system has become complicated. And if Russia and the United States will try to play again the same game they used to play in Europe during the Cold War times, The risks and consequences, not only for Russia, the United States, for European partners, but also for the global system, can be much more harmful and dangerous than they used to be even 25 years ago. I do not think that military conflict is possible, and I think what we have as a positive result of Ukrainian crisis, that it didn't lead to a direct military clash between Russia and NATO. But I think that tensions we were having now and we will have in the future will raise stakes for everybody and will raise risks for everybody, because there are other issues on which we cannot have privilege not to cooperate, like international terrorism, proliferations of weapons of mass destruction, and other things. Thank you very much.